Hi, hello, it's me, Aaron, funnily enough because this is my channel, and I'm here to review Can You Hear Me? The latest episode of Doctor Who Series 12. If you saw my Praxis review, you saw that, one, I didn't really like it that much, and it kind of dampened my hopes for the series. I was like, oh no, Series 12 is going to be bad now. I'm happy to say that Can You Hear Me reignited the spark. I'll go into detail obviously later, like overall what I thought of it, but like it's definitely much better than Praxis. There are issues with it, but it's one of those stories. There's a lot of issues, but overall it comes together, so I quite enjoyed it. I think I tweeted it would be my top 3 episodes of the season. I'm not sure about that statement. I feel like I may have been a bit hasty with that judgment. I'm not. Okay. When I do my series ranking, I'll struggle to put that somewhere. So, Can You Hear Me? A bit of an odd title, really, because the only connection it has is at the very beginning when you hear Rakaya was her name. I'm going to call her Rakaya, it might have been Rakaya, but the sort of female immortal lady. And she's like, can you hear me? Because even with, when she was talking to Graham, she says, can you see me? Not, can you hear me? So I feel like perhaps Can You See Me would have been a better title for this episode. It starts with this girl called Tahira in, I think that's how you say her name, in 1380 Syria, specifically Aleppo. And it was intriguing. I mentioned in my Praxis review, although I can't remember if I actually made it into the final edit or if I cut it out. But I was like, oh, I'm interested because I think this is a location and time period I don't remember Doctor Who visiting. And the set was really cool. I think it's a shame we didn't spend very much time in Aleppo, and it really was just like a kind of casual stop in the story. But it was cool, and the cold open was really good. I liked when the creature came. My only issue is at the beginning, that cold open suggests that Tahira knows a lot more about the creatures, but then afterwards, she and talking to the Doctor, she pretends like she doesn't know anything about them, when she clearly does know that they're from. She knew about them. She was like, oh, they prefer it when you struggle and stuff like that. So that's a bit of an inconsistency that I was like, wait a second, but you do know what they are. But also, the cold open, it's so weird that they brought it back after not seeing it since Spyfall Part 1. I mean, I like a cold open, I thought it was a good one, although I do think the opening titles doesn't work well with a cold open because it has this sort of like warp beginning. Like this, the opening titles wasn't designed for a cold open, so maybe they should in Series 13 perhaps rework it a bit for the stories where there is a cold open. Said the cold open a lot. Then we get to see basically all the main characters interact with the Zelen, was his name? Zelen, in some way or another. So you've got Tibbo, who was Ryan's friend. You've got Yasmin's sister Sonia, and Graham with his mates. I'm not sure if those were the same mates we saw in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. His bus friends. I don't know if they were, because I don't know. They could have been, but it was such like they were such a small thing, because at least Tibbo and Sonia played like a decent role, I guess, in the story, compared to those two friends who literally disappear after that. And yeah, it was very intriguing. This episode is one of the most intriguing in the series because we didn't really know much going into it. It's an episode where they kept quite a lot of secrets. It's like It Takes You Away, in that they kept quite a lot of it a secret. We didn't really know what was happening before the episode aired. And so we get into this mystery. The Doctor talks to herself a lot in this episode, and I do think it is consistent with her character, and it's like a fun little quirk. But I will say it's really annoying, and it is annoying how the writers think we have to have every single scene explained to us when we don't. So Graham sees the woman, Zakaya. Again, not sure if that's how you say her name, but we're gonna go with it. Ryan's friend Tibbo has experiences with Zelen, and then Yaz directly has like a nightmare relating to what happened to her 3 years ago, which is hinted at with her and Sonia's like celebratory dinner, and then she actually sees Zelen as well as Ryan, because Ryan sees Zelen just before he snatches Tibbo. And I immediately knew, because obviously also Zelen makes a brief appearance in the TARDIS. I immediately knew that this was some kind of trap, only because I don't know. Maybe I I was thinking maybe they shouldn't have made it obvious that it was a trap. The creatures whose names I'm not going to try and remember because they were quite they were to something, I think. It's a funny name. Were intriguing because they added this element. And I get, it's almost, I liked how it seemed that Zelen was deliberately like, I'm going to put this creature in which you can't analyze to help sort of lure you in. Like, there's all these different elements. And then they get to that station, which they spend quite a lot of time on. They bring Tahira with them, who really didn't. I'm glad that it was just. I know they had that joke later on about all the people in the TARDIS jacuzzi, which I thought was fun. But I think in this story, having Tahira and Tibbo both like go on the TARDIS, it wasn't as egregious as, oh, let's have every person from Praxeus on board and let's have every character from Nikola Tesla's or Night of Terror on board. It wasn't as bad as that, but it does continue the trend of, I really just don't want every single character that the TARDIS team meets to go on the TARDIS because it's getting really boring. But at least I knew it was already coming because I saw in one of the promotional pictures they had Tibbo and it was just Tibbo like outside the TARDIS, so it was like, oh, or it was like in Aleppo, so we knew he went on the TARDIS at some point, and there was shots of Tahira coming out of the TARDIS, and I was like, oh god, but then luckily it was just them two. And then we spend a lot of time. I get why people don't like the story because it's a lot of talking and a sort of explanation, but I don't mind those stories if they're written well, and I thought this was written well. So it was written by Charlene James and Chris Chibnall, and was directed by Emma Sullivan, which is the second time this season, and the fourth time in the whole history of the show, if I remember correctly, where it's been a female director and writer pair, or technically trio, because Chris Chibnall was involved as well. I talked to you a bit more about this in Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, so I won't really, go over it again. But it was Nikola Tesla and this were two of my favorite episodes of the season. They're definitely up there. Like I definitively liked these episodes. So so far we've got a 2 for 2 track record of female director writer duos and how much I like them. This episode did actually work in a little bit into the story arc. A lot, like, because it had a lot of the characters' backstories and it looked a little bit into the Timeless Child with that brief glimpse. The backstory around Ryan, Graham and Yaz, by the way, this is the most relatable they've probably been perhaps since The Woman Who Fell to Earth, to be honest. I think Woman Who Fell to Earth is a really good episode, and I think if Series 11 had lots of the episodes had been like that when it comes to backstory and stuff like that, that'd been an amazing season. And it's a shame how they had Woman Who Fell to Earth, and then I guess you had Ryan's story and resolution, and you had the running theme of Grace and stuff, but especially in Series 12, we've kind of not had any of that. So in episode 7 of 10, to then suddenly throw all this backstory and relatability onto us, it's a shame. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a shame, why isn't it throughout the season? Just be happy we got it. Just be happy we got anything like this from those 3 companions, okay? I'm just content that we got anything, because I wasn't expecting to get anything, to be honest. I liked that, because I was kind of wondering what the situation was. So all 3 of them have been gone in Earth time a while, it seems, because they've all been travelling, and obviously Yaz has been on a sabbatical. In Series 11, it seemed a bit more like, oh, we're just going to pop out for a bit. So in Series 12, it seems more like they're actually going on full, oh, we're going to be gone for weeks at a time. But I think it was good to see the effect that them leaving had on the people around them. And bits like when the Doctor was like, oh, we're 77 minutes late, and Ryan and Yaz were really oh, for goodness sake, they were really annoyed by it because they're already gone for ages. And then obviously Yaz misses her parents because they've gone off, so she only gets to see her sister. So I think it's, I don't know, it's this is the stuff we should be seeing the whole time. Zelen is a great villain. I really, really liked him. So he didn't turn out to be the Black Guardian, like some of us thought. Although, we were pretty close, to be fair. He is, I'm not sure. So he's an immortal. So he's kind of an Eternal, even though he also name drops the Eternals specifically from the story Enlightenment, because they're a particular group, I guess, of immortals. I don't know, I just consider him an Eternal. Basically, if you're an immortal, you're an Eternal. And he does, but he's like, oh, the Eternals have their games. I think this is a mighty fine game. So I thought that kind of connection, he's an Eternal. And there was the name drop of the Guardians and the Toy Maker. I saw a couple of people say that it was really clunky. I thought it was really well done, to be honest. Uh, I thought it was great. I mean, if you don't know who these people are, I don't think you're going to be like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. You'll be like, oh, cool, name drops. Like, we didn't know who the people who imprisoned the Carrier Knights were. Like, I can't remember what their names were, but like, it was a cool like little name drop that impressed people. Uh, and he had a lot of presence. It was weird. The finger thing was weird, but like it was disturbing. Like it was kind of odd, and I liked it because my friend Dan, who I mention every now and then on here, was talking about how he wishes there was more like, oh, beyond our understanding. Like they just do weird things with no reason, because of course they're from like another dimension. Of course we don't understand everything they do. Uh, also, I saw someone even point out the fact that maybe the whole fingers in the ear thing was a deliberate choice to sort of reflect perhaps society's attitudes towards mental health, of just like, oh, putting your fingers in the ear and not really listening and hoping it'll go away, and perhaps even our own feelings when we have mental issues. We're just like, oh, just don't tell anyone, just hope it will go away. I don't know, maybe it was, but either way, I guess it was a cool visual, a disturbing visual. I also really liked the idea that, of course, he can't unlock a puzzle from this universe, like a logic combination thing, because he doesn't understand. He doesn't really work with science. He works with, you know, sort of dreams and nightmares and emotions and stuff. So he doesn't know how to unlock something that's using numbers. He doesn't understand that. Uh, the whole reveal, it was interesting that he wasn't like a partner to Rakaya. He was very much like subservient to her, which is interesting. And it wasn't like oh, I know, I secretly plot to overthrow you. No, he was just like content being her subsidiary. So, that was cool, I guess. I thought she had a lot of presence. She wasn't in the story as much, but she seemed kind of like, playful. Like she just wanted to have fun, on like a sort of universal scale and terrorizing people's nightmares. She's responsible for the animated sequence, which I really much enjoyed. I thought that was really cool. I know I'm a bit annoyed because I knew it beforehand, because I can't remember the animation company or the person who animated it, whatever. Like put on social media before the episode came out, it was going to be in there. But it didn't disappoint. I thought it looked really pretty. It's a really weird scene when sort of 13 like moves and the Sonic screwdriver just like flings to her hand. But someone pointed out that that's because the handcuffs are meant to be like magnetized. So you're meant to be like, oh, she like jolted the Sonic screwdriver out of her pocket, so it got magnetized to the handcuffs, I guess. I don't know. It was a weird scene, that one, which could have done with some more explanation. That's when you can have the Doctor be like, oh, magnetized, and then do it, and then configure. Like, that's the one scene there. She just should have had her talk to herself. Timeless Child appearance, great. Great. The resolution was rushed. I'm not gonna lie, the resolution was rushed. When she was like, using the finger, she was using the sonic screwdriver, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought maybe she was gonna use that. So I thought I knew where it was going. So I thought, oh, she's gonna use that, put it in their minds, and then they're gonna be the ones that like terrorized with like nightmares. And then I thought she was gonna put them back in the box, like in the orb thing between the planets. I thought that's what was gonna happen. But no, that's what I would have done, and just made it simple. But the introduction of the creature that Tahira could control, that was unnecessary, to be frank. I mean, the creatures looked kind of cool. Fingers in the ear plus trapped in the orb with that creature forever. I don't know. I wasn't really sure about the ending. I'd kind of like to see them back. I don't know if they would come back. I would be interested in seeing them return. I think something that's perhaps controversial with this story is the sort of mental health message. And I just want to say, and I told my friend about this, is depending on your own experiences, you're going to have a different opinion of this depiction of mental health. But because it's such a personal topic, I think we all need to be kind to everyone else, because some people are going to hate this. Some people think this is a terrible depiction, like especially with the bit of the 13th Doctor at the end. And some people relate to this on such a core level. And I think either side of that, or anything in the middle, trying to be so rude and be like, no, this is disgusting, this is so terrible, I think that is going to offend other people. So I just think you need to word things a bit nicer. Like, not saying you should, soften your own opinion, but just keep in mind, especially if people respond to that being like, well, I resonated with it. Don't respond nastily or aggressively, because that's their experience and you shouldn't knock that, because that's not exactly going to make them feel better about it. The sort of controversial bit, I guess, I actually didn't. I liked the Doctor bit where she was like, "Oh, I'm socially awkward. I don't really know what to say." It is a bit inconsistent with other episodes, I will say, but I thought it did suit the Doctor we saw in this episode. I thought it was honest, and I think I saw a lot of people relating to how they are that socially awkward, and they just don't know what to say. I don't know what she would have said, to be fair, and I also think if she had said something, people would have had a problem with it. So I'm just going to put that out there now. And I thought it was almost a little bit deliberate to break the tension and make Graham laugh. I thought that might have been one of the reasons she did. That's what I got from it anyway. I mean, if you disagree, that's fine. Don't have a go at me. Uh, something I want to bring up is, well, we saw Grace again briefly, and we saw Graham's fear that his cancer would come back. I didn't mind Grace's appearance. I don't think we should have another It Takes You Away where she comes back for a full episode. But I didn't mind a very, very brief appearance. I thought the dregs turning up in Ryan's sort of nightmare was actually, I liked that callback, and I liked that they're like, well, of course you've just seen your planet, a barren wasteland with humans evolved to be these animalistic creatures. Of course that's going to have an effect on you. And I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh, dregs. Uh, uh, and but Riaz's whole thing, I saw people saying what the celebratory dinner was for, but I think it was, first of all, Sonia was the one who seemed to be wanting the dinner rather than Yaz, and I think it was Sonia, because obviously Sonia in the flashbacks was really scared about Yaz leaving, and it's implied possibly she says do something stupid, and I think it's implied that possibly that could have been talking about hurting herself or even killing herself. Also, Yaz's acting was probably some of the best in that scene, perhaps in the whole season, and I thought it was just a cute moment. I think it was important having the police officer be a woman, who seemed to be South Asian. I think that's important, to be honest. I think that's important. It was that kind of person who inspired her. And I thought the scene when she went to see her with the 50p, I thought it was really cute and emotional. And Ryan contemplating about what their life is going to be after the TARDIS, and I think that's sort of setting up that perhaps Ryan at least isn't keen on the idea of continuing travelling. So perhaps he will just decide to stay home. I don't know. When he does leave, perhaps he will just go, yeah, I don't want to travel anymore. I mean, Gaz still seems pretty set on the idea, and Graham doesn't seem to be, against it. So, that was the episode. Bit of about the place review. I thought it was. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because I thought it was 7.5 is kind of it was great. It's a great story. There were a lot of things I didn't like with it, but overall it all came together. I think it would probably definitely be in my, so far out of 7 episodes, it's my top 5, but then that's literally 5 out of 7. Whatever. I liked it. I expect, unless the rest of the season is really good and continues to be on this level, I expect it will probably be in my top 5 stories. Or top 5 episodes anyway. So yeah, that was my review of Can You Hear Me? I hope you guys enjoyed it.